Hello. How are you all? Doing good, I hope. Life is an interesting journey, I think, and it's always good to do good. Whether that is in reference to the quality of your experience in recent times or in the effect of your actions, with, against, in service of others, however you want to phrase that. I'm looking currently at a project that I want to do. My friend was like, hey, from that last stream, I really liked that one thing that you did. The song entitled Smoke Away Reality. I mentioned I hadn't technically released this one. It's not available anywhere. Of course, if it were available, it'd only be on SoundCloud, which is where I have like over an hour of music. Which I guess you could check out if you wanted to. I think I'm the musical mercenary or musical mercenary over there. I can never remember. I really should write it down. Maybe that would help. I don't know. But today, we're going to take a look at Smoke Away Reality. And I'm going to do my best to break it down, to explore the song, and to build it back up. Maybe into something that I find more satisfying, perhaps, more ready to be out and about in the world. And along the way, I'll share some of the things that I hope I remember from back in the day when I did this a lot more often. So if you are coming to this stream hoping to see some sort of profound professional performance, you might get something like that. I don't know. I wouldn't describe myself as a vocalist. I have a voice, and I can make it do things, generally. So maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. To give you a little anecdote to illustrate my level of confidence, I suppose, I had an acquaintance of mine in a particular context made the joke, I guess, that, you know, when I shared the information that I was streaming and on the internet in public, they promised to check out my stuff and to make sure to harass me, which I guess is funny. I understood the intention behind the expression, which was an attempt at being funny and not being serious at all. That kind of thing is very harmful, but I understood where he was coming from and what he was intending to communicate, so I wasn't offended by it. That said, he might be here, he might not. Whatever the case is, I came to him yesterday and I said, hello, I have the perfect opportunity for you to harass me on the internet. I'm going to, in front of whoever happens to come by, record myself doing vocals for a song that I kind of remember. Maybe not the best content out there on the internet, but I think that's fine. Because honestly, the passionate person, pretty good at what they do, but not the best, maybe underrepresented. Of course, it could be the algorithms prefer things that perform better, so maybe the best is all we get to see. But for now, today, you get to see me trying to remember how to do this. Which I think is going to be a lot of fun, because I like this song a lot, and it's just a good time. I mean, in very real terms, it's not. It's about a very bad time. But the experience of creating it is a good time. It was very cathartic for me, because at the time I was dealing with a lot of stuff. This was back in college, which, you know, I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity for sure. But why don't we go over to the scene that I have in Streamlabs entitled Logic with Small Cam and check out this project. I'll wait for the cadence and then switch. Okay. All right. So here we are. Let me make sure I can see the chat just in case there is one. I have here in front of us Smoke Away Reality, vocal edit. You might relate to this one. I have been through many revisions of my naming system for the things that I do. Consequently, I never really remember which project is which. But I managed to find this before the stream because I knew it might be a little challenging. Thankfully, I'd opened it recently, so there's that. But to break it down, we can take a look at what we have going on here. I have shown the hidden tracks, which I guess were just me chopping up and designing the bass line for the chorus, it looks like. BIP, bounce in place, is what that is short for. So I took the monster bass, had it perform its piece, and then chopped it up, kind of moved it around, bounced that in place, and used that for the chorus. I'm very curious to see what that sounds like, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. I'm going to switch over here and make sure the sound's coming through. Okay, bit of a pop there at the end, but that was pretty good, actually. I think I had like an edit for some sort of reverse thing going into it. Oh yeah, there we go. I had a reverse cymbal and reverse bass sound as well, probably with some automation. Yeah, automation on the region, bringing it in. So it might not have been reversed because it's a sustained synth, so you don't really need that. So we have that going into the chorus. I focus on this specifically because I was actually thinking that maybe we consider changing the key of the entire piece. Because there are parts where it's just a little uncomfortable for my vocal range, as you might notice. I have a deep voice, a very deep voice, which can go even deeper than the way I use it to communicate regularly. I actually tend to talk a little elevated because those with a deep voice probably know the frustration of being in a public place trying to communicate literally anything. Nobody can tell what you're saying. You could have like your friend nearby who has a higher pitched voice. They can say something, you say something at the same volume, doesn't mean you're going to be heard. There's no guarantee. So I was actually thinking of maybe changing the key, which would just require we take a look at this monster bass again. Now, last stream, I mentioned something that I set up, which was a sidechain gate trigger. So I might actually use that instead of going through the process of chopping everything up. But we'll see. You know, I might do that regardless of whether I change the key or not. But if we take a listen to the chorus instrumentation, I'm going to mute the vocals for now. I should put those in a, what do they call them in here? I don't know, some kind of folder type thing. Anyway. Okay, that's so much fun. I after listening to this again and deciding to share with you the process of remaking it, I have rediscovered my love for this song. Yes, it is a little dark. It does talk about cannabis, which is not illegal. So when it came to choosing the stream options and it was like, hey, you should say if there are drugs in here. The description of saying that there are drugs in here, I don't know if it applies. So I went for the safe route and clicked the button anyway. It's just Smoke Away Reality is basically like a conversation of life being incredibly overwhelming and difficult to such a degree that altering your mind state feels as if it's the only the only way to survive. I think I literally say that in the lyrics, which I did not write down. So we're gonna have to do that as well. But that should be fine. So it's about living with PTSD and trying to survive just your average moment. With one line that I really like in here, which we'll get to soon. But I'll show you more about that. In the meantime, why don't I break down what we're looking at here? So for those of you unfamiliar with this whole deal, we have a combination of two things, right? We have these up here. You can see they're like little squiggles. Those are audio files. So these are recorded. You see it says comp A. So that's something that I'll explain a little more. But basically, when you do a recording, you can like repeat a section and keep doing takes until you get something that you think is good. And then you can go through and choose which takes you want to use. So you can even get so lost in the details that you could take like the first half of a word from one take and the second half from another. I guess there are limits, but they're so extreme as to be effectively infinite. I guess your computer could stop working. I don't know. There's always a limit somewhere, even if the limit is infinity. That said, so we have audio files, and then we have MIDI files, which are these ones made of straight lines and of different lengths and stuff. So the audio files are basically just me singing, or this bass up here, which is down here too, the little squiggles. The MIDI files are actually sending information to a virtual instrument. So you don't even need a real, tangible, analog instrument to be able to create music. In fact, with Logic by itself, you don't even need a microphone. You don't need anything other than maybe a mouse, I guess, a keyboard if you want to make it faster, and the program itself. You can make all sorts of music. So if you can even make audio files like I did here without having to have a microphone. But if we look at Mystical Vox, for example, I don't know if you can actually read this because it looks terrible on my other screen. We go to this instrument, which is called Alchemy. We can see exactly what that instrument is doing. It looks like a spaceship, basically. If you were there for my a day off stream when I started Starfield, you probably saw things that looked a lot like this, to be honest. We could break all of this down if anybody's interested in that, but if not, I'll just sum it up real quick. We have different waveform generators being affected by modifications, alterations, other modulators, and ultimately being blended together to create the sound that we hear. So if we solo Mystical Vox and we play this, I'm going to pull this up here, make this a little easier to see. So we see here, we've got a bunch of these little regions, and by highlighting them, you can see the instrument, the Alchemy instrument, Mystical Vox, reacts because it is getting information. You can turn this off, by the way. It's this button right here if you wanted it to not play every time you select something. But it's getting information when I select it, and it is responding. So these little green lines represent different notes. You know, we got the piano roll over here, so we can see this, and we know that it is a B. We can change all of this as well. I'm not going to just yet because I do like how it sounds. But if I play this, you'll be able to see that this Alchemy instrument is playing all of the notes over in the MIDI region. So it's actually super easy to change the key of a song if it has MIDI data as like the bulk of it. If it's MIDI, it can be changed super easily. So if we wanted this intro to be, instead of in E minor, we wanted it to be in F minor, we just take everything and move it up a half step. And there you go. Now the intro is in F minor. And then I didn't change this one, so it goes back to E minor. I was actually thinking F minor would be really good for this song. It would make hitting the higher notes a little more challenging, but with a bit of effort, I think we can get that going. So I'm going to return this to E minor. And then what we can do, we can close out this. That doesn't mean it no longer exists. It's still there. In fact, all of these tracks represent something else. We're basically looking at the composition as a whole here. An overview of what we have available. So if we go to, let's see, ARP animations is pitched. So is Mystical Vox, Steinway Grand Piano, the Vintage Doppler, the Electric Buzz, the Synth E-Bass, and Instrument 2, whatever that is. I have no idea. All of those are controlled by this MIDI, which is the musical instrument digital interface. But they're getting this information. So if we take all of this and we go down here to the piano roll, we can actually Command A, choose everything, and bring one note up a half step. And now the entire song, except for the vocals and this bass here, which is an audio file, has now been put into F minor. So if we play it, and so on. So it'll keep going through that exactly in that fashion. Of course, now just to demonstrate, in case the difference is not significant enough, if we add the bass, which is still in E minor, to this F minor track, it's going to sound very strange. I actually kind of like that, to be honest. I don't like when it goes to the fifth scale degree, because that really has to be in tune. But it having that level of distortion kind of confuses the tonality. It is definitely dissonant. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Especially on that fifth scale degree. Of course, my hearing is terrible. part of why I did not pursue a professional career as a music producer. I still, come up with some good stuff, but there were a lot of things that went into that. That said, we're going to have to redo the bass line, even if it's just for that one note. Because we do have some dissonance in the chords themselves. We've got major sevenths, which you find pretty commonly in Steven Universe music, in case you were wondering. Absolutely love that stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, do you want to see something weird? Well, even if you don't say anything, I'm going to show you. If we did the same thing with the drums, we highlight everything and move it up a half step. It does not change the key of the drums, actually, because the drums are a sampler. So they actually, each one of these is triggering an audio file. So when we move the MIDI data, we're actually triggering a different set of audio files. So if we play this, I really like it, but we're not going to use that, at least not yet. We'll keep that in mind. Maybe we can use it at some point, because that sounded really cool. So that's another thing. You know what? You don't have to know what you're doing. You just have to do something, I guess. If you want to do something, you don't have to know what it is. Just try something, see what happens. Which is how this stream became a thing. I don't know what I'm doing. Streaming a recording and production session. Never done it before, but we're going to give it a try. So, I mean, what would be the best thing to address first? My guess would be getting that bass figured out so that we have that. So when we go around to recording the vocals, we can hear that, have the whole ensemble ready to go. That's probably a good place to start. So I have the monster bass up here hidden. I also believe I have it deactivated. Whoop. That is not the button to do that. I don't remember what the button is. Maybe we can find out. See, I knew what it was 8 years ago. There we go. I don't even know. I guess that's Control M. I don't know. Let's try it. Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, so we have that. Okay, perfect. We can just take all of this, raise it up by a half step. Now it is in F minor. So I'm going to go ahead and save as. We're going to do not the things you didn't see. We're just going to save directly to the desktop. Smoke away reality. I don't know, remade. We'll call it that. Save as a folder with audio files. I might need some of those other things one day, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, so in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and clean up all of this stuff. So this line, we're going to get rid of it. We don't need it. This line right here, I'm going to hold on to these just for reference, so I know I have it in my head, but just in case, I want to make sure that I can remake it properly. So if we bring this monster bass, I'm going to bring it underneath the vocals, put those up top, and then I'm going to have this over here. So now we're going to have, instead of this audio, I'm going to set up that sidechain gate trigger. So in this track, we have it selected. So over here in the inspector, I think, yeah, the inspector, we have our track settings here. You can see I don't have any audio effects on the bass. It's just straight from Alchemy. The same instrument, but with different settings. So each one of these is very, very different. You can really make pretty much whatever you want. I did not have a ton of time to sculpt every single one of these to be exactly what I imagine. So a few of these are just like presets that I threw together. So we might play around with that if we want to, if it's a worthwhile investment. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and add a new track. New software instrument track. We're going to go to the library. Do we need to do that? No, I think we can actually go here. I believe the ESM I can open. It only has triangle and square, so maybe not that one. I'm looking for just a straight up sine wave. Maybe the ES1 mono. Sine wave. Maybe somewhere around here. I don't know. Sine waves are tricky. And I have not looked at any of these things in a long time. So you'll have to hang out. Or I guess if you're watching the VOD, skip forward, I guess. I don't know how to tell you how far to skip forward if you're bored. I don't know. I'm not bored. I'm never bored, actually. Do I want any of these? No. I could look it up in the other project, but that feels like maybe ES2 stereo. Ring, sine. So we have sine wave. We can deactivate these. Bring the, I guess 99% is the closest it'll go. We want this to be 0 and 0. So it's directly in tune. Literally doesn't matter, but you know, open that all the way. We want the attack to be immediate on pretty much all of the envelopes. Sustain, delay, short, sustain, full, release, short. All of these pretty much the same. So if we go in here, we switch it to mono. I mean, we only need one voice, so I'll throw that there. We've got the volume. The intensity is at 0, so that's not going to bother us. The rest of this doesn't matter. Okay, so if we add over here a MIDI region and extend it this far, which is what we'll need, we can start painting in the track. I don't know. Anybody have a favorite note real quick? Mine's D, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, so there you go. Sine wave. Starts and stops. Exactly as you want it. So if we have this sine wave here, we're going to want to line it up with the bass line, which we're going to want to expand to line it up with this and get it ready. Okay, so it goes 5, 1. So 5 above the resonance, which is C. And that is for, for 2 beats right before we get back down to the tonic. And then it goes da 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 right over here. Dum ba da dum dum. So we need that there. We need more here. And then more over here. Bring that back. And then we should have what we need. that should be plenty. Okay. Now that we have this monster bass and we have our sine wave generator, what we're doing is we have the bass actually playing the notes. We're going to use the sine wave generator to determine the rhythm. So what we have in this region over here sounds like a sine wave, sure, but that's not what we're using it for. We're actually using it to change how the monster bass is performed. So now we have to write out the rhythm of the original piece. So we have and then da 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 da. And the da lands on, where does it land on? Right here? Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to turn that off for now. All right, so we can zoom in a bit here, zoom in a bit here, and now we can see this much more clearly. So it goes. Da, 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 da. So this goes over here. We have 1 E and 1 and 2 N. Da, 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 da. Okay. So for this part, if we were to just play this with the whole thing set up, which I'm not going to set up yet because we want to be able to hear it to make sure that the rhythm's right. If we have this set up, and we have it like this, then you'll hear as we play it. Da 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 da. That's not quite right. Let's zoom in over here. Okay, so it is twice that speed. So we can get rid of these. Go ahead and put that there, and it lasts up to this point. Okay, so we can follow the waveform to line up the rhythm. But if we have it here, we listen to this, it sustains the entire time. So what we can do is actually make these notes even shorter. I don't know how short we want them, maybe 120 there. Okay, so we have this really short sine wave going on. We can make it even shorter if we wanted to. Well, I mean, you can't really hear it at that point. All right, let's expand even more so that I can select it. We'll bring it out just a little bit. Okay, so we have that. Now, before I do the rest of this, what I'm going to do is we're going to exit out of that. I'm going to go over here. We're going to get rid of the sends. Sending it is like rerouting it. So it's going somewhere else. This is the master output. It's going to the stereo. But if we want to choose a random one of these, as you can see, there are 256 options. Anything that doesn't already have something is fine. So I'm going to go with 14. Bus 14, no output. We're not sending it anywhere right now. I'm going to toggle that, turn it back on so that we can hear it. Because if we have the output, stereo output, we have it going through into bus 14. This is bus 14. That goes to the stereo out. So we should still be able to hear it. Which we can. So as soon as we disable that, put it to no output, it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it does, but it is no longer perceptible in ways that are easily tangible, I guess. Easily observed, maybe. Okay, so ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay, so then we go to the monster bass, and this is where we can do a sidechain situation. So if we go to, it's probably dynamics, noise gate, stereo, I guess, dual mono. I don't really think it matters, but we'll go with this one. So we have our threshold. The reduction is -100, which is a lot. We want the attack to be instant, the hold to be instant, the release to be a little longer. So the hold, we're just going to play. We're going to have it open when there is sound going through it, but we have to go to sidechain, go to bus, and then select 14. That's the one that we set up. So when we play it, we should hear no difference until we get to this part. I'm going to keep this open so we can monitor it. Okay, so it might not be fast enough. Let's go back over to the classic electric piano, change this to no output, and we'll see how this goes. We might have to play around with the threshold, try to balance that, because that'll make a difference. Look, we had a little bit there, and now it's not playing at all, so we know we set it up properly. Now all we have to do, we can do it this way. It might be a bit redundant. Maybe we give us a little bit of silence here and there. We can go ahead and play this. We can loop this section. Okay, so by increasing the threshold, we basically decreased the severity of, or I guess the significance of the input, which you might have heard kind of rounded out the sound a little bit, gave us more of that stuttering that we were looking for. So now, sounds a lot better. And we can even change, at this point, we can change what the note is, and not even have to go through this whole mess of remaking the audio file. So at this point, we have the template, we have everything in place, and we are ready to finish capturing the rhythm. Once we do that, we can copy and paste this together throughout the rest of the song. Doesn't even matter. We have now made this much more flexible than it was before. So when we listen to it, of course it's not going to keep playing because we haven't written in the rhythm yet, but it's starting to sound anyway, a lot like what we had before. Now I don't have the automation bringing it in gradually, but sounds very similar. Now we do have some stereo imaging going on with this setup. I unfortunately can't hear stereo very well, as it turns out. My right ear has profound hearing loss in it, I guess. I don't know, that's a way to say it, sure. So I'm aware of things over here, but there's not a whole lot of clarity in that department. I have a funny story about that, actually, while I hydrate and drink some yerba mate. I was told this story. Obviously, the point of the story is I didn't know it was a thing. But early on in my experience of college, there's a lot of orientation stuff. There's a lot of get to know people and whatnot. There are a lot of events, parties and whatnot. And I was in a place at a time that, of course, I don't remember, not because I don't remember that place and time, but because I don't remember when it happened, which is the point of the story. A person apparently called out to me. They were with a companion. That companion called out to me. I responded because I heard it. The other person also said hello, but I didn't hear it because they were on my right side. And the story goes that person was a little upset about that, maybe just a little uncomfortable, whatever the case was. But they never told me about it. I found out because my friend was having a conversation with some people about me, apparently, and that story came up. So my friend let them know that the reason I didn't respond was because I probably did not hear them, which is the case. That's definitely the case. I don't intentionally ignore people. Sometimes I miss the Twitch chat. Sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't, because it's not super intense generally. Just a few of my friends hanging out. But yeah, story time over, I guess. Is there ever an ending to the story? I'm sure there is. I just haven't found it yet. That said, now we have everything set up, so we can keep going and finish writing out the rhythms here. So the next one at 35 is a half note of bass. Then we have at 36, we've got a quarter note preceded by 2 16th notes. So we can actually copy these here and paste them where we need them. Then we have another half note over at 36 and a half. And then the same at 37. Doesn't look like we changed up anything there. And it actually looks like, let me get rid of this. It actually looks like the rhythm just repeats. So we don't even need a region this big. We can take this. We can cut it here, which I think is T. Yeah, there we go. So we can cut it there. We can Command R. So repeat that. And then we can do the opposite of this, or we can just take both of these regions and make them shorter on this end. So copy that one, throw it, make sure we've got the right channel selected, throw it over here, extend this one maybe, or yeah, extend this one. And then go into here and resolve the chord progression. So we copy this and throw in an F. So with that, we should actually have the bass of the chorus remade to be much more flexible while still sounding pretty much what we need. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So maybe we could do a couple things here. Let's see. We'll go into Alchemy. I'm going to turn off the buses just to see how that goes. We're going to check out... Let's see if I can find it. Spaceship thing once again. Let's see. Got a little bit of panning going on. I'm going to try to force this into mono, and we'll see what it sounds like. I do really enjoy the very spacious sound that is currently available, but we're going to give it a try. So we can go to gain, stereo, mono on, and then we'll play it again. Okay. That wasn't too bad. Yeah, I mean, that was fine. A swap LR. Maybe I can hear what's supposed to be in my right ear. Okay, I see. Yeah, we're going to go for mono. We're going to leave it there. We're also going to go into the noise gate. I think I might actually put the attack at 1 millisecond. The hold, 10 milliseconds? No, we're just going to leave that at 0. Release, 15. We'll leave it at that. Let's see what that does. right, so that cut down the clicking that I was hearing a little bit, which is good. That's what we were going for. I'm not going to make this perfect. Oh yeah, it's bustling over here. Yeah, definitely. I have so very many people watching and chatting and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a big thing. Just trying to exist and show my friends some cool stuff. So, how about this? If you want to have an excuse to chat, why don't you, if you want, go ahead and tell me what your favorite key is, or mode, if you are aware of that whole reality, or even scale if you want to make it even more nebulous. Or, I mean, you could even say your favorite paradigm for music. We don't have to limit ourselves to a classical Western perspective. We kind of do a little bit in the basic display of logic, but there are ways to work around that and include some other stuff. But the next thing to get the base all ready is going to be pressing A to pull up automation. So I'm actually going to click this right here, which switches it from track automation to region automation, because that's going to be a lot easier to replicate. So if we click here, we have activated automation. Click here to add a dot, and then we can bring the beginning all the way down. And we have a repetition of this line right here. And then we can play around with the level however we want. Automation overrides the fader setting that you put it at, because that is the fader setting now. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but that should have us Dorian. Yeah, Dorian's really good. That Renaissance sound. I might use that for because I write a lot of stuff for my D&D campaigns as well. I actually want to do that next week, is write a Gregorian chant in the language of the Dragonborn from Skyrim, the dragon language Thum. So I want to do that next week. So I guess if you want to see that and you happen to get this information before next week, we'll check it out. But for now, let's see if I got this right. Okay, that sounds pretty much the same. It's a little different because when you're chopping up audio samples, you get a different sound out of it, but we can mute these now. I'm not going to delete them yet because I'm going to use them as a guide for the later sections because there are variations. But for now, we have replaced the bass. So if we go back here, play it from here. There you go. It's almost as if we did a lot of work to have an effect that was intentional and we achieved that goal, which is pretty good. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to act with intentionality and to achieve the things we intend to do. Now, it's a very simple matter because I did not do I did some, but not a ton of variations across the chorus sections. Now, with this new setup, it'll be a lot easier to do some of that. So if we do this, we can bring this over here. Then we can delete this part because we repeat. Actually, no, this is the verse, isn't it? Undo. Where's edit? undo length change, edit, undo delete, because it goes through there. Wait, is that the chorus? It must be. There's a bass there. Never mind. I am confusing myself because I did not name all of these things properly. So if we change that, we bring this over here. I'm going to put it here so that we can get rid of this beginning part. We're going to cut this off and pull up automation again to make sure that nothing is being weird. Maybe we can go over here, extend that, double click to get rid of it, bring this all the way back here, and then close it off. There we go, just to make sure we don't have any issues. And now we have it repeating. Then it looks like we cut it off immediately here, so we don't actually resolve the bass. It just goes straight up to the 5. Which I might change. We'll see how it goes. I, by the way, am not going to play the vocals that are in a different key on top of this F minor thing now. I mean, I guess I could if you really wanted to hear it, but it would sound horrible. And I'm also already nervous about singing on the internet. I've done it before, so, you know, it's not too bad. Okay, so we don't have to deal with any of that. All we have to do is keep on going with our chorus bass edits. So we just grab all of this again. We move it over here. And now we're in a good position because we've already done the edits here. We can do Command R twice. And it looks like we just cut it off there. And then I have that going on. Okay. I actually want to add harmony to this, to the last part here. Which I guess I'll have to redo now that I've changed everything to be in F minor. Who knows? Maybe I won't. But anyway. So the bass is remade. It is basically done. The bass is basically done. So I think at this point I can get rid of the old bip and just clear that out so we don't have to worry about it. Now we have the bass up by the vocals, which feels weird. I don't know if it feels weird to anybody else, but it feels weird to me. But we'll leave it there for now. Give us an idea of the tonality of what we're working with. So now I'm going to play through the whole thing. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to drink some yerba mate, which is absolutely amazing, by the way, if you've never had yerba mate before. I have never had it in its traditional presentation, never had the opportunity, but when I do get that opportunity, I'm definitely going to take it. But in the meantime, let's listen to what we have. Yeah, I'll probably change the ending, but we'll get there very soon, probably. Relatively soon, anyway. On a cosmic scale, very, very soon. One of my favorite things to say. I came up with that accidentally one time when my friend was trying to throw something into a waste basket and missed, but only barely. So I said that was pretty good. He did not agree with me, of course, because he missed. I said on a cosmic scale, it was basically in there when you started. On a molecular scale, probably not, but on a cosmic scale, definitely. So how about this? Because it is important to remember to stay hydrated. That's what I'm trying to do. I would like to remind you to do the same. Assuming you can, I guess. Let's see here. I might take everything that we have here, put it back into E minor, and then we'll listen to the vocal line. Now I have the vocal line duplicated basically here in the electric buzz. You might have heard this going on in the background. The electric buzz is going to guide the vocal performance because the vocals cannot do that. I could pitch shift them up a half step, which honestly wouldn't sound much worse than they do currently. It would sound weird, but it wouldn't sound much worse. Not to say they sound bad, they sound okay. But anyway, might shift it back so that we can listen to it and I can write down what the lyrics are because I vaguely remember them, but I want to make sure I have something to reference, something to internalize, and then we'll start, I guess, going through and seeing what we can do. I can show you how to record vocals in Logic, or one way to do it anyway. I've got my mic already set up, obviously, so it should be pretty straightforward. But I'm going to go ahead, take us to the Be Right Back scene in Streamlabs, and then I'll see you in a little bit. So feel free to take a break, go do whatever you want to do, use the bathroom if you have to, although, quite honestly, you're watching a stream, so it's easy to do that. In fact, you might already be doing that. You don't need a break for that, but I'm going to go ahead and take one, and I'll see you in a little bit. Hello. I notice I did not loop that audio track in the Be Right Back scene. So if I remember, I will do that. So it'll be set up and ready for next time. That said, welcome back to everyone, I guess. You likely didn't really go anywhere, but I did. So welcome back to me. I don't know. Welcome back to the conversation. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to content. I hope you're doing well. Please let me know if you are. Hello. My friend also says welcome back. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. Being on the internet is a weird thing, to say the least. But you know what? I like hanging out with you all. I like showing my friends the cool stuff that I get up to. And if I say something interesting along the way, well, that is even better. Yeah, it's fine if we choose this. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, we'll go from there to there. I'm about to shift everything back into E minor, and then unmute the vocals so that I can transcribe the lyrics a little more reliably. I'm pretty sure I remember it, but it'll be good to have the reminder. So for here, everything is automatically selected, as it turns out. So we just have to grab one, move it down. Okay, awesome. So now I'll show you what we have. The music has ended and the music begins. Go ahead and unmute these. I'm actually going to highlight all of these, and we can go to a create track stack. That's what it's called. It's going to be a summing stack. Now we can quickly mute and unmute all of the vocals. So I'm just going to go into... Actually, I have no idea what's in my notes. So I'm going to go back to full cam and then check it out. Oh yeah, a list of NPC names, some notes for an interview I did, lyrics for another song that I made, which is me performing like a duet between me and my synthesizer. GPT instructions, for one called Redacted. The GPT instructions are not redacted. The model that I designed is named Redacted. But we're going to go ahead and ignore the deja vu that I'm experiencing because I had a dream about this very thing 2 years ago. And we're going to start a new note. So smoke away reality. Here we go. I'll bring you back to looking at logic with me. By the way, NPC names, this list, I took my high school yearbook, started writing down things, mixed them up and everything. And I made it because I have a party arc with the potential at any moment for players to decide to talk to somebody around them. So I have to have a lot of people, a lot of names ready, just in case. Pretty wild stuff. Okay, so when we play this again, I'm going to have to put this over here so I can access it more quickly. So we'll start at the beginning. We'll play it.
In a world torn apart by envy and greed.
I missed one. Obviously. Let's go back here. Wow. I don't know how Electric Buzz didn't change. All right, there we go.
In a world torn apart by envy and greed.
Ooh, you hear all that? I had a very, very strong habit of editing the mess out of my vocals. No confidence whatsoever for how they sounded. None at all. But anyway, here we go. In a world torn apart by envy and greed, where the people are divided. That's what it is. Where the people are divided by color and creed. An issue overlooked by the majority. Mental health is ignored in our society. This isn't so true these days. This is a bit of an old song, so I might actually rework these lyrics a bit. And I'll tell you, I'll show you my process for that too. I mean, why not? Of course, we don't have to get all of this done tonight. I might actually do some of this work off stream and then bring it back to you. But we'll see how it goes. Mental health is ignored in our society.
Where the people are overlooked by the majority in our. There is no instruction.
Blah, 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 blah. Huge space for that. There is no instruction, no sanctuary for the ones cast aside and often buried.
No sanctuary for the ones.
How does it keep doing that? Do you hear that nonsense? One of the regions, it wasn't the entire track, it was one of the regions, ended up not being selected for some reason. Because now that's in D sharp minor, which is not what we want. Okay, let's try this again.
There is no instruction, no sanctuary for the ones cast aside and often buried under calls for equality.
Under calls for equality. On what can be seen. And then it's something about obscene.
On what can be seen, on what.
There we go. That is wild. I'm going to have to turn that off. That is so distracting. On what a few voices consider obscene. Yeah, so, it's interesting words, to say the least. A bit dated because it's a really old song. I would say that the conversation has definitely changed since I wrote this. My environment and the resources that are available are so much more developed than they once were. So who knows? Maybe we'll rewrite these lyrics, update them to today's environment, or at least the one that I occupy. We all have our little pockets of reality. And then it goes, so I'll smoke away reality. Reality. It says it twice. I'll smoke away reality. Reality. Okay. That is the chorus. So we have those all set up and ready. Now we get back into a verse. I'm going to go in here. It is, maybe it's on a bus. I'm just going to turn down bus ends. Yeah, there we go. That should sound better.
You can develop PTSD.
Now I've decided I'm actually going to change the perspective on this section, because I realized after I wrote this at a later point in my personal development journey that while it's important to represent a perspective that might mirror the experiences of a larger group of people, the most effective and probably even the most accurate thing that you can do is to speak from your own experiences. So rather than saying, you can do this, I'm going to say, I can do this. I'm going to talk from my own experiences. Of course, like I said, this was back in the day. I've dealt with a lot of this stuff, pretty much all of it, pretty well. So this stuff doesn't really weigh heavily on my mind these days. But at the same time, I feel like they're important to add to the conversation because they're in the expression of ideas. There exists representation. You might have an idea. You might have an awareness that people who look and sound like me are very often represented, which is why this song focuses on the internal reality, because it doesn't matter who you are or what your form is like. Mental health, not exactly a priority of the, I guess, the curated historical narrative that we have been given. Not really a big thing. In fact, there are many stories of very terrible things happening in the realm of mental health, which we don't have to get into. So it says, I can develop PTSD and spend my nights burning in memory, which is what I used to do a lot. But when I'm outside in the city streets, I put on a smile for all who, I don't remember. Who is easier to say, so I'm going to go with that. Who I meet. PTSD, oh yeah, I guess this is actually, it would be better represented if we were to put that on a separate line. But when I'm outside in the city streets, I guess in the rural streets as well, because you don't just meet people in the city. I do, because that's where I spend my time. But, you know, once again, speaking from my own perspective. Put on a smile for all who I meet. I'm expected to cope. There we go. I'm expected to cope and live like the rest. Even when something
Expected to cope and live like the rest, even when
success. I don't know why I wrote this. This is so hard to say. Even when success outreaches my best. Very awkward line. My lyrics are a little more comfortable these days. And then it goes, the media and tradition say drugs are bad, when in truth they keep my has, which I guess could be in quotes, from had, which is, again, a bit of an awkward line, but I like that one. You know, it's an important representation of how specifically cannabis can alleviate the dissonance of complex trauma disorders, or I guess simple trauma disorders. I don't know. I'm just trying to say things. This war on drugs, I guess, which I guess might be still active. I don't know. I don't fight in wars generally. I pay taxes, which means that in a way I do, but I try not to outside of that. And I only pay taxes because I have to. I would choose to as well. I would love to pay more taxes because that would mean that I had more money. And it would be nice to be able to, I would be so proud if I could pay more taxes. That would be incredible. Look at all this money I have. You want some of it? Sure. Go ahead. I have so much, I don't even need all of it. That would be incredible. That would be so cool. But anyway, taxes aside, back to a song about smoking away reality. Probably didn't expect that when you got the notification. That said, let's see. We get back to the chorus after that point. So I'll smoke away reality. Reality. I'll smoke away reality. Reality. I think I say, and I'll smoke away reality, reality. I say it a lot. Oh, gotta pull it up here. I'll smoke away reality, reality. I'll smoke away reality, comma, reality. Okay, so we have all of that. And then there are 2 verses, 3 choruses, and a bridge. I was actually thinking I might, for the sake of nostalgia, keep the bridge, not re-record it. However, there is a line in here that I might want to change. Well, I mean, there are probably a few lines that I might want to change. Again, the song is very old. But we'll see how it goes.
Fear of addiction and lack of compassion denies me the chance.
See, there you go. Already I have the wrong tense for that word. So their fear of addiction and lack of compassion deny, not denies, deny, well, actually, no, yeah, deny me the chance to have pure satisfaction. Shame, guilt, and hatred taint all of my thoughts as I lose sight of the freedom for which I have fought. So when I smoke weed and cry in the dark, please silence your damn deranged, I like that, derogatory remarks. Because with this, now this line's kind of weird, because with this cannibalistic mind of mine, the only way to survive is to not be confined. And then I'm just going to put chorus in parentheses a lot. There you go. Okay, so Cannibalistic Mind, a reference to another song that I made. That one is also about heavy things, dark things. I had to process a lot growing up. So this is how I did it. I wrote music. Cannibalistic Mind was a song about the chorus a lot. Yeah, it just keeps going at the end. There's a lot of chorus. But that song was about, I guess, how our thoughts can turn against us. That representing more than one person, because I know that to be true. I've had conversations about it. Our thoughts turning against us and creating a hostile environment where, you know, you have thoughts like the narrative, I'm broken. You have, I deserve pain, that kind of thing. All of those thoughts are just preying on your mind. Your thoughts are turning against you, and by turning against you, they gain power. Everything that we say, everything that we think has inherent power to it. So in writing Cannibalistic Mind, I was capturing how this dark, self-defeating narrative was sabotaging all of the things that I was doing. But it was an experience purely within my own consciousness, within my own perspective. So I made a little reference to it there. I've always thought if somebody heard this, part of why I didn't post it, if somebody heard this and they didn't have the context, they might think I'm a cannibal, which I am not. I prefer eating things that aren't people. I have that preference because I don't want to expand my perspective in that department. Actually, I'm perfectly satisfied with not eating people, generally. That is okay with me. That said, those are all of the lyrics. We did that change to talk about my own perspective because that's really all we can do. And then we might take a look at some of the other ones, but you see we have a pretty consistent rhyme scheme here, aside from the chorus, because I think the prompt for this one was to write no, that was a different one. I did this for a songwriting class in college, and I can't quite remember what the prompt was for this one. I don't know. Doesn't really matter that much anyway. I love writing prompts. I love seeing where things started and how they got to where they are, but maybe, is there value in keeping the lyrics what they are? Is there value in making this a little time capsule? And putting like Smoke Away Reality parentheses 2015, which is when I wrote the song. So this is a really old song too. It's almost 10 years old, huh? Wow. Okay. So, you might have heard in the recording, there were a couple parts where I had to highly edit some of the stuff, but I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you how I do vocal recordings. I'm going to show you some of the editing that I did, and I'm going to show you the effects that I used. The original version and the remastered version. Well, I have the original version saved. In the beginning, I don't know if you saw it. You might have not been here for that, but in the beginning I saved this as a new file before I started making any changes. So I actually have the original project as well. I don't think I have the original setup for the recording because I did not have a good way to organize my editing versions and whatnot, but now I'm a little better at it. A little better. Did not expand too much in those skills. But yeah, let's go ahead. We'll take the chorus is my favorite section. So we'll take a closer look at the chorus. Okay, so we have this comp here. The comp should have information on it. Now, how do we access that information? We go here, Marco, we have a marker signature, we have all of that. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so you might recognize what I just pulled up. You might not. This is flex editing. Flex editing in Logic allows you to take an audio file, and edit it in various ways. So, for example, if we wanted to take the lead into the verse or the chorus, I'm actually going to go back to the first one since it's a little shorter. We're going to take the lead into the chorus, and we're going to take the resolution into the verse. I'm going to mute the verse vocals. We're going to go over here. Smaller file, less to work with, less cluttered. We're going to take a look at that. So I can tell just by looking at this that I did a lot of editing on Flex Editing to make it work, because there's no way I was this on pitch. No way I could do that. This is not even going to happen. But there are some cool things here. So when we're recording, we can select a region just like this. And then when we hit the record button, it'll start writing an audio file. When it gets to the end of the region, it'll go back to the beginning. So having a region set up like this, where the cycle where we have a little bit before and a little bit after, gives us a chance to take a breath, prepare, come in, and perform the chorus. But after that, which I think I might actually, because I'm starting to get hungry already, because I've been talking a lot, I might show you all of this and then go do the vocals off stream somewhere at some point before next week, probably. And then come back and show you, we'll do the actual editing and everything there. But before I head out and leave and everything, I'll show you how all of this works. So when you enable Flex Editing, it takes your audio files and represents the information in that file. So right now we have Flex Pitch. There are a few other options, mostly with timing. You can have it adjust to different types of input, like monophonic versus polyphonic. It'll adapt to what it's hearing and be able to give you different layers of information. But if we go to Flex Pitch, all of that went all the way down here for some reason. But you see it's lined up with the waveform. So each of these corresponds to one of these noises. I think if I select it, you can hear. I'm actually going to turn down the bus sends as well on this one. When we get back to it, I'm actually going to delete everything in the effects, in the plugins for the vocals, and we'll do it from scratch and try to come up with something that sounds a little better, a little more natural. But yeah, when I select one of these, you can hear that syllable, that region, that sound. It'll play it and it'll extend it. When we play this region, you'll hear the chorus.
So I'll smoke away reality, I'll smoke away.
Okay, fine. Let's check the bass. Yeah, that's still an F for some reason. All right. Well, you know what? I don't know why that is. Maybe I forgot to select it, or maybe it just did that. No, it did that for literally all of the bass regions. It's still an F. Everything else, from what I could tell, was in E, but the bass is in F. So we'll select all of this, and move it down. Okay, that should sound better.
So I'll smoke away reality, I'll smoke away reality.
You might notice the vocals. Whoa, why is it zoomed in like that? That is ridiculous. The vocals definitely sound heavily edited because they are. But anyway, when we have these little packets here, you see there are three dots on either side of this. Those correspond to different qualities that you can manipulate. If we take a look at them, you know, we have like the main block, which we can actually grab. And move. Sounds absolutely ridiculous. But that's a good way to use your ear to see what note you want it to be, basically. But anyway, we have pitch drift on either side. So for example, if I approach this note flat and then left it sharp, we could adjust for that. We can change the pitch drift so that we raise the beginning of it and lower the ending of it. So I'll show you, we have this little line here. If I were to play this, which I will, why not? If I do this and do this, solo this, it's going to sound ridiculous.
So I'll smoke away.
That was fun. Yeah. So you can actually like change it on such a small level. But I'm gonna leave it at 0 because that's what I had it at. You know, whatever. So you can do even if you didn't have a slide or a glide or whatever word you want to use, you can just add one. It might not sound natural necessarily, but it will sound, which is what you want when you're working with sound. The middle one is fine pitch. Now, what we were doing earlier with moving this block up and down the piano roll here was we were going for individual notes according to the classical Western categorization of frequencies. But with fine pitch, we can change very slightly which note we're performing here. So if we're just a little sharp, but not quite at the next one, we can use fine pitch to bring it down. We also have gain, so you can do that on individual words, which is absolutely ridiculous. So let's say, it actually looks like I did that previously here. But let's say we wanted smoke to be big. We wanted big smoke. We could do that. You see the waveform responds. I'm going to play it. You know what? I don't know what this sounds like, but I'm going to play it. Probably awful. Here we go.
So I'll smoke.
Whew. That was aggressive. So if we put that back to 0, you could do the opposite. If you wanted to not hear that word at all in the mix, you could do that.
So I'll smoke away.
Bring it all the way back, which is super helpful when you are working with a performance that doesn't have a consistent distance between the vocalist and the microphone, which I can demonstrate just by leaning back in my chair. I probably sound very different all the way back here compared to right here. So you can adjust for that. People like to enjoy the performance of the songs that they care about. And sometimes that enjoyment translates to movement. So to get consistency, I would recommend using a compressor if that solves the problem. If you consider it a problem, then instead of doing this individually, although the gain changes in flex pitch, actually pretty good. And I was using it a long time ago. I'm sure there's been some updates and stuff since then. We also have vibrato, which I am so looking forward to changing for you. Vibrato, if you don't know the word, it's altering the pitch, moving it up, moving it down at a certain rate. Fast vibrato does it quickly. Slow vibrato does it slowly. But we can change this to make this absolutely ridiculous. If we multiply the existing vibrato, the peaks and the valleys of the performance by 6, if we raise it to 600%, this is going to sound ridiculous as well.
So I'll smoke away.
Oh man. Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, so 100% is standard, of course. It looked like I had moved it down to give it more of a straight, more of a flat sound, which I clearly did with this one too, because there's no way I sang that pitch consistently. I know where I was in my life. Not going to happen. Yes. Laughing faces, definitely an appropriate reaction to that. But the last one is a formant shift. If you're not familiar with the formant, it's kind of like the placement of the syllable, whether you have it more in your head or you have it more in your chest. So if we shift the formant all the way up here, it's going to sound very different.
So I'll smoke away.
Like I said, very different. Of course, if we go the opposite direction.
So I'll smoke away.
It goes, very, significant adjustments always sound artificial when you're using flex pitch. So generally, when it comes to recording vocals, it's good to sing it well. Because the more you have to edit, the less natural it sounds. Flex editing actually comes with Logic Pro, but there are other plugins that you can use to get the same or an improved outcome with the ability to edit these individual things. I used to have a plugin, but that was on my other computer and I never downloaded it because I haven't done this much. But if we wanted to hear something really silly, we could highlight all of these, go to the formant shift, drop it by 386, see if that applied to all of them.
So I'll smoke away reality, reality. I'll smoke away reality, reality.
That definitely sounds edited. But if we play that in the context of the song,
So I'll smoke away reality, reality. I'll smoke away.
it sounds ridiculous. I might actually use that though, because I kind of like it. We'll see how it goes. We'll figure it out next time. For those of you watching who have access to messaging me, which is everyone, if you wanted to check me out on Instagram, I am Musical Mercenary or The Musical Mercenary. I think it's just Musical Mercenary. Same name as the Twitch channel. I'm over there on Instagram. I started posting stuff again to see how that goes. So you can DM me there if you wanted. If you have an opinion on the effects that I should use, you can let me know before next stream, or you can show up next time and just send me a chat, whatever you want. What I want right now is to hear the antithesis of this negative formant shift, which is all the way up the other way. I don't know if we should go so far as 600. That would be crazy. But let's hear how ridiculous this sounds.
So I'll smoke away reality, reality.
That's really annoying. It actually reminds me of a character in a game that I was playing recently who presented himself to be the mayor. Could not understand what he was saying, unfortunately. But thankfully, it wasn't necessary for the game that I was playing. That said, I have reset the formants, which is a thing you can do, actually. I think, I forget where it is, but I think you can reset flex changes, and then it'll just set that up for you. But originally, I've undone the edits that I just did.
So I'll smoke away reality, reality. I'll smoke away reality, reality.
So on and so forth. So that is pretty much what we're going to check out next time. So I'm going to do the vocal recordings because... so it is The Musical Mercenary on Instagram. Okay. That is good to know. Thank you for checking. I'm going to record the vocals in between now and the next time I look at this, which might be next week. It might not, depending on when I want to do that Thum Gregorian chant thing. Maybe I'll even just write it in Dorian and we'll come up with something not necessarily Gregorian. We'll see how that goes. If I do that next week, then we'll get back to this the week after. Yeah, of course. You are very welcome. Thank you for existing, first of all, but secondly, for being here as well. I'm excited for the opportunity to exist, to be seen, and to share a space with everyone. So glad to have you here. Glad to be here. I do have a stream coming up tomorrow as well. It won't be focused on music, but it will be something, I'm sure. I've written down a few things that I want to talk about. Maybe we'll do some more reading. Maybe even I'll go into my notes that I have for my D&D campaigns and talk about those. So if you love D&D, if you like D&D, if you don't know your opinion of D&D, tomorrow's going to be a good time to check it out because I might just focus on that. The day after, we're going to do the second stream of playing Starfield. We're going to talk to Constellation and get moving with the main quest line, or we'll get distracted by one of the very many things that there are in that game. Most likely we'll do both. So that'll be fun. So, you know, if you're able to come for those, please do. Love to hang out with you. If not, I'm sure your journey of life is going to take you to many places, and I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I hope it goes well. I hope you're able to enjoy it. My journey is going to take me to my kitchen next so that I can eat. Definitely time for that. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, except that I do, but I'm not going to say it now. So I don't know. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you soon. I'll share another moment. But again, thank you for existing. I deeply appreciate being here with you, which pales in comparison to the depth that I feel. But still, I'm going to hit a button, and then I'm going to hit another button, and then go do other things. Best of luck. I'll see you soon.